The air is thick with the kind of tension that only a courtroom can generate. Jackson, Mississippi, the heart of the Deep South, is about to witness a story that no one thought possible. The clock reads 3 p.m. on March 19th, 2025, and Jamal Turner, wrongfully convicted and nearly executed for a crime he did not commit, stands on the precipice of a new chapter. Jamal is free now, but his freedom is not the end of his battle. It is only the beginning. His heart is heavy, burdened with the weight of the injustice that nearly cost him his life. He can still hear the echo of the gavel, the words that condemned him to death, an innocent man caught in a twisted web of lies. Now, as he steps into the sunlight, the questions keep gnawing at him. Who were the real perpetrators, and why was he chosen to bear their guilt? As Jamal struggles to adjust to a world that no longer feels like his own, the deep corruption within the system continues to slither through the cracks. The same system that almost silenced his voice for good is still very much alive, and it will do whatever it takes to keep its secrets hidden. But Jamal is no longer the quiet, broken man who once stood before the court. His resolve has hardened into something much stronger, a need for vengeance. Now, his mission is clear: uncover the truth, expose those responsible, and make sure they pay. But he will need help, allies who are just as determined to fight against the overwhelming forces that once crushed him. It will not be easy, and the road ahead is perilous. But Jamal has come to realize something crucial. Justice is not a gift handed to you. It is a battle you must fight every step of the way. The stakes are high. There are many players, and the cost of failure is unthinkable. You won't believe what happens next. Stick with us to see how Jamal's fight for justice unfolds. Where are you watching from, and what time is it? Jamal's fingers tremble as he flips through the files. The papers before him are more than just pieces of evidence. They are a haunting reminder of everything he has lost. The injustice of it all still lingers in his bones, gnawing at him every waking moment. The walls of his apartment, once a refuge, now feel like a prison. No matter how hard he tries to shake off the memories of those nights spent on death row, they are always there, lurking in the corners of his mind. He slams the file shut, unable to look at it for a moment. The truth is staring him in the face, but he cannot look away. He must face it, face the system that wrongfully convicted him and almost stole his life. This is no longer just about his freedom. This is about the countless others who have suffered the same fate, the ones whose voices were silenced by the weight of corruption and lies. Jamal takes a deep breath, the cold air filling his lungs, and opens the file again. His eyes scan the documents, the names, the dates, the inconsistencies. Slowly, a pattern emerges, like a spider's web connecting the corrupt officials who conspired against him. It becomes clear that his case was just one small part of something much bigger. The wheels of justice had been rigged, manipulated by those with power and control. But this is not just his fight. Jamal knows that now. He cannot look away from the truth, not when it means the lives of innocent people are at stake. He cannot let the system get away with what it has done to him, to them. The anger surges within him, hotter than it has ever been before. This is his calling now. This is his fight for justice, not just for himself, but for every person who has been wrongfully accused, for every life that has been shattered by a system that is supposed to protect the innocent. He picks up the phone, dialing numbers that feel both foreign and familiar. Each call is a step forward, a small victory in a battle he is determined to win. The people he contacts are just as hungry for the truth as he is, just as determined to right the wrongs that have gone unchecked for far too long. Jamal is no longer the man who once stood helplessly in that courtroom. He is a fighter now, a man with a purpose, and nothing is going to stop him from exposing the truth. What would you do if you were Jamal? Fight for justice or move on? Let's discuss it below. The weight of the task ahead is overwhelming, but Jamal is no longer alone in his fight. Maya, his trusted lawyer who has been with him from the beginning, and Xavier, a tenacious investigative reporter with a nose for corruption, have become his allies. Together, they form an unlikely but powerful team, bound by a shared goal: uncover the truth and bring down those responsible for the miscarriage of justice. The deeper they dig, the more dangerous their journey becomes. At first, the threats are subtle: unsettling phone calls in the middle of the night, strange cars following them as they drive through town. But soon, the intimidation escalates. Jamal receives an anonymous letter warning him to stop the investigation, or his freedom will be taken from him once again. Maya's office is ransacked, papers scattered everywhere, as though someone is trying to erase all traces of their work. Xavier's sources are suddenly unreliable, their willingness to help drying up as if they've been frightened into silence. But despite the mounting dangers, the team presses on. They know that the truth is out there, and they can't afford to stop now. It's Maya's legal expertise that begins to unravel the lies first. She pores over the trial transcripts, reviewing evidence that was buried or overlooked. Her sharp mind catches the smallest discrepancies in the case, suggesting a deeper, darker conspiracy. This wasn't just a mistake, Maya tells Jamal one evening, her voice heavy with realization. This was planned. Someone made sure you were framed. Meanwhile, Xavier's tenacity as a reporter proves invaluable. His ability to get information from sources that others can't reach brings them closer to the truth. Late nights are spent poring over court records, tracking down elusive witnesses, and uncovering new leads. With every new revelation, they get closer to the criminal network that is operating right under everyone's nose. But it isn't just petty criminals they're dealing with. No, this goes much higher than they could have imagined. Xavier's latest lead takes them to a high-ranking official, someone who should have been a guardian of justice, yet whose fingerprints are all over the corruption that led to Jamal's conviction. The realization hits like a punch to the gut. Someone at the very top of the system is involved, someone whose power could obliterate their quest for justice before they even get close to exposing the truth. But Jamal, Maya, and Xavier are undeterred. They have come too far to turn back now. The danger is real, and the stakes are higher than ever, but they know they cannot stop until they've uncovered everything. The truth is out there, tangled in a web of lies, and they are the ones determined to pull at it, no matter the cost. The tension rises as they prepare for what lies ahead. Their courage is tested with every step they take, but the fear of what could happen if they stop digging is far greater than any threat they face. Do you think they'll find the truth? Or is it too dangerous to keep digging? Keep watching to find out. The truth is beginning to unravel, and with every layer Jamal peels back, the reality of the corruption grows darker. Late into the night, with the faint hum of the city outside his window, Jamal stares at the stack of evidence that has been meticulously compiled over the past weeks. His hands tremble as he holds a document that could change everything. proof of a deliberate conspiracy to ensure his wrongful conviction. The names on the papers are ones he knows well now: Judge Mathis and the prosecutor, both of whom had played pivotal roles in his trial. But the truth behind their involvement is far more sinister than he ever imagined. Maya and Xavier stand by his side as they go through the newly uncovered details. What they discover next shakes them to their core. Judge Mathis, the man who was supposed to be the embodiment of fairness and impartiality, is revealed to have had an intimate, behind-the-scenes relationship with the prosecutor, working together to suppress crucial evidence that would have exonerated Jamal. The lengths they went to ensure his conviction are shocking. Trial transcripts show alterations, key evidence was hidden or destroyed, and witnesses who could have spoken up for Jamal were intimidated into silence. The worst part: it wasn't an isolated incident. As Maya digs deeper into the prosecutor's history, she uncovers a disturbing pattern, a long line of cases marked by racial bias, all resulting in wrongful convictions. Each one of those cases, just like Jamal's, involved fabricated evidence, coerced confessions, and a twisted version of justice designed to protect the guilty and destroy the innocent. The prosecutor's record is littered with the names of other victims, their lives shattered by the same malicious tactics that nearly ended Jamal's. Jamal's blood boils as the pieces fall into place. The man, who should have been fighting for justice, had instead been manipulating the system for his own gain. Judge Mathis, too, had been in on it, helping to orchestrate the cover-up, turning a blind eye to the truth and doing whatever it took to keep his own dark secrets buried. But now, all of it is exposed. The documents, the tapes, the testimonies, all of it paints a damning picture of corruption at the highest levels. Jamal can barely contain the rage that surges within him. The men who nearly stole his life and ruined countless others must face the consequences of their actions. The idea that these two powerful figures, people who were supposed to be pillars of justice, were responsible for so much pain makes his heart ache with the weight of it all. But the fight is far from over. With the evidence they've uncovered, they know they have the power to bring them down. But Jamal also knows the cost of what they're about to do. Exposing Mathis and the prosecutor could set off a chain reaction, one that might bring even more danger to their doorstep. The system that has protected these men for so long will not let them fall without a fight. Jamal's voice is steady, but filled with determination as he looks at Maya and Xavier. We have to make sure they pay, not just for me, but for all the others they hurt. The walls around them seem to close in as the realization sets in. The fight for justice is about to reach its boiling point, and there is no turning back now. What should happen to Judge Mathis and the prosecutor now? Drop your thoughts below. As Jamal's story spreads, it becomes more than just a personal fight for justice. It becomes a national scandal, one that resonates with millions of people who have long suffered under the weight of a broken system. News outlets pick up the story, broadcasting every shocking detail of the corruption. And soon, Jamal's name is on the lips of every person from Jackson to New York, from Los Angeles to Chicago. The story of a man wrongfully convicted, nearly executed, and now fighting to expose the corrupt officials who tried to bury him, becomes a symbol of everything that is wrong with the criminal justice system. Protests erupt in cities across the country. Crowds of people, some with signs demanding justice for Jamal, others calling for broader legal reforms, gather outside courthouses, government buildings, and even the streets where Jamal once walked as a prisoner. The chants of "Justice for Jamal" ring through the air, growing louder each day as the public outcry intensifies. People are no longer content to sit on the sidelines. They are marching, speaking out, and demanding that the system be held accountable. Celebrities and activists, too, begin to rally behind Jamal. A-list stars who once turned a blind eye to the injustice now stand in solidarity with him, lending their voices to a cause that has captured the public's heart. Social media explodes with hashtags, stories, and viral posts, each one echoing the call for reform. Figures like Maya and Xavier, who were once working quietly behind the scenes, now find themselves thrust into the spotlight, their bravery and dedication becoming a beacon of hope for all those wrongfully convicted. Jamal, still reeling from the magnitude of it all, is now seen as a symbol of hope, a man who survived the darkest of injustices and is now using his voice to speak for those who have been silenced for far too long. His face, once an image of despair, is now one of defiance, strength, and resilience. He has become the voice for every person who has been wrongfully imprisoned, for every life shattered by the failings of the system. His fight is no longer just his own, it's a movement, one that demands change, accountability, and a reckoning with the truth. Yet, as Jamal's public support grows, so does the danger. The system that nearly destroyed him is fighting back, more desperate than ever to protect its secrets. Powerful figures who once thought they were untouchable are scrambling to contain the fallout, and their tactics are becoming more aggressive. The pressure mounts on Jamal and his team, but they know they cannot stop now. The stakes have never been higher. Jamal's journey is now a symbol of the struggle for justice, a rallying cry for anyone who has been oppressed, ignored, or silenced. The fight is far from over, but the tide is turning, and the power of the people is undeniable. How do you think the public will react to these revelations? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. The deeper Jamal dives into the corrupt underbelly of the justice system, the more dangerous his quest for truth becomes. What started as a personal journey to clear his name has now turned into a high-stakes battle for survival. Each new piece of evidence he uncovers seems to dig him further into a hole, one with no easy escape. Powerful enemies lurk in the shadows, and Jamal knows that the danger is only escalating. It begins with small, unsettling signs. Phone calls that are meant to intimidate. A shadowy figure in a car tailing him on the way home. But soon, the threats become far more personal. One evening, as Jamal walks to his car, a truck screeches to a halt next to him. A masked figure steps out, delivering a clear warning. "Stop digging, or we'll bury you, and we'll start with your family." Jamal's heart races. He knows that these aren't just idle threats. The men responsible for his wrongful conviction have far too much to lose, and they won't hesitate to eliminate anyone who stands in their way. The weight of the threat is crushing, and for the first time, Jamal is faced with a harsh reality. The price of exposing the truth might be more than he's willing to pay. The thought of his family, his mother, his siblings, being caught in the crossfire makes his stomach twist with fear. Maya and Xavier stand by him, unwavering in their commitment to the cause. Maya, with her legal expertise, offers Jamal guidance on how to protect himself while still pushing forward with the case. Xavier, using his journalistic connections, digs deeper into the corruption, trying to track down more evidence that could help bring down the powerful officials behind this. Together, they form a tight-knit team, but the stakes are higher than they ever imagined. Each day brings new threats, anonymous letters, strange figures watching their movements, even an attempted break-in at Xavier's apartment. Jamal's resolve is tested at every turn. He has never been one to back down, but the mounting danger starts to eat at him. His mind races with doubt. What if it's too late to turn back? What if exposing the truth costs him everything he holds dear? His fear for his family grows with every passing day. The weight of the consequences weighs heavily on him, and he begins to question whether the pursuit of justice is worth the sacrifice. But Jamal is not one to give up. The pain of his wrongful conviction still burns, and the injustices of others who have suffered the same fate haunt him. His voice may have been silenced before, but now it is louder than ever, and he will not let fear stop him from finishing what he started. The path forward is fraught with danger, but Jamal knows that if he stops now, the system wins, and he refuses to let that happen. As the walls close in, the tension builds to a boiling point. Every decision Jamal makes could be his last. His fight for justice has become a fight for survival, and the line between victory and defeat has never been thinner. Do you think Jamal will be able to survive this? What would you do in his situation? Stay with us to see the next twist. The pressure has never been greater. Jamal stands at a crossroads, the weight of his choices pressing down on him like a storm cloud ready to break. Every step forward feels like a risk, not just for him, but for his family, the people he loves most in the world. The threats have escalated to terrifying heights, and as the walls close in, Jamal faces a haunting question. Is the fight for justice worth the cost of everything he holds dear? Late one night, as the soft glow of his desk lamp illuminates the stack of files before him, Jamal pauses. He stares at the names of the people responsible for the conspiracy, the ones who tried to destroy him, the ones who continue to destroy others. The evidence is undeniable. He has the proof. But the danger of exposing it now feels like an unthinkable gamble. The threats against his family have intensified. His mother is scared to leave the house, and his younger sister barely sleeps, terrified that the same people who tried to ruin his life are now coming for them. Maya's voice breaks through his thoughts, steady and reassuring. Jamal, I know what you're going through, but you can't let fear win. You've already come this far. Think about everyone else who's been wronged, the people who need someone to fight for them. If you stop now, if you let them win, nothing will ever change. Xavier, too, stands beside him, his voice tinged with urgency. Jamal, we're not just exposing the corruption in your case. This is bigger than you, bigger than all of us. These people have been doing this for years. If we let them go now, it's just going to keep happening. You've given the rest of us hope. Don't let it fade. The words sink into Jamal's chest, heavy but necessary. He feels the weight of their encouragement, their belief in him. He knows that if he steps back now, the cycle of injustice will continue. If he retreats, the corrupt officials, the criminals behind it all, will never face the consequences of their actions. More innocent people will be framed. More lives will be ruined. He can't allow that to happen. With newfound resolve, Jamal makes the decision to push forward. He reaches out to Maya and Xavier, who immediately rally behind him. Together, they set the final pieces of the puzzle into motion. They expose the true criminals behind the robbery that started it all, uncovering an extensive network of corruption and betrayal. It is a shocking revelation, one that sends ripples through the entire justice system. The high-ranking officials involved, those who once thought themselves untouchable, are now exposed for the world to see. Jamal's decision to continue the fight sets off a chain of events that will forever change the course of his life and the lives of countless others. The corrupt network begins to unravel, and those responsible for the wrongs committed against Jamal and so many others are brought to justice. The revelations are explosive, but they come at a cost. The road has been long and painful, but Jamal has found the courage to stand up, not just for himself, but for everyone who has been silenced by a system that was meant to protect them. As Jamal stands in front of the cameras, the truth finally out, he feels the weight of everything he's lost, but also everything he's gained. His fight was never just for his own freedom. It was for a better future, one where justice truly prevails. What decision would you have made in Jamal's shoes? Would you risk everything to fight for what's right? The courtroom is thick with tension. The weight of everything Jamal has fought for hangs in the air like a storm cloud, waiting to burst. Every seat is filled with eager onlookers, reporters poised with their cameras, and officials who know this day will change the course of their lives forever. Jamal stands tall, his heart pounding, but his eyes focused. Today, the truth will finally be heard. Today, the fight for justice reaches its climax. Maya stands by his side, her legal expertise steady and unwavering as she holds the final pieces of evidence that will expose the corruption once and for all. Xavier, now a key witness in the case, stands nearby, his investigative work coming to fruition in this moment. Together, they have fought for this day, the day when everything will be laid bare. As the judge calls the court to order, Jamal feels the eyes of the world on him. His heart is heavy, but he feels a sense of resolve he has never known. The time for fear is over. This is the moment he's been waiting for. The moment to confront the mastermind behind the scheme that nearly cost him everything. The prosecutor stands across from him, face hard, expression cold. Jamal's eyes lock with the man who once wielded the power to destroy him. The same prosecutor who manipulated the trial, who falsified evidence, who framed him for a crime he didn't commit. The same prosecutor who is now desperately trying to maintain control, to hold on to the empire of lies he's built. But the truth is about to crush him. Maya rises, her voice clear and confident as she presents the evidence that will expose the corruption at the highest levels. The documents, the witness testimonies, the phone records, they all point to one person, the one who orchestrated the entire scheme, Judge Mathis. The once respected judge who was supposed to uphold the law had been in on it from the beginning. He had colluded with the prosecutor, manipulated the evidence, and made sure that Jamal was framed all to protect a corrupt system that put power over justice. As the courtroom listens in stunned silence, Jamal's voice cuts through the tension. He stands up, confronting the prosecutor and Judge Mathis directly. His words are powerful, steady, and filled with the raw emotion of everything he has endured. You thought you could break me, but you were wrong. The truth always finds a way out, no matter how hard you try to bury it. The evidence is undeniable. The prosecutor, once a figure of authority, now stands exposed, unable to deny his role in the conspiracy. Judge Mathis, too, faces the consequences of his actions. The corruption that once seemed so powerful, so untouchable, is now crumbling, piece by piece. But the battle isn't over yet. As the judge calls for a recess, the courtroom buzzes with the realization that this fight for justice is just beginning. while the prosecutor and Judge Matisse face the immediate consequences of their actions. Jamal knows that there are others still out there, waiting to be uncovered. The system that betrayed him is far from fixed. There are still battles to be fought, still layers of corruption to be unraveled. Jamal looks around at the people in the courtroom, the faces of those who have supported him, the faces of those who have witnessed his journey from the beginning. The fight for justice is not over. It will never be over, not until every truth has been uncovered and every innocent person has been freed from the clutches of a broken system. Who do you think will win in the end, justice or corruption? Don't miss what happens next. The courtroom falls silent as the judge delivers the final verdict. Jamal Turner, after years of suffering and injustice, is officially exonerated. The weight that had been pressing down on him for so long, this burden of false guilt, this constant fear of a life ripped away, finally lifts. His name, once stained by the lies of a broken system, is now cleared. The corrupt officials who had orchestrated his downfall, the prosecutor, Judge Mathis, now face the consequences of their actions. Their power, once untouchable, crumbles in the wake of the truth. Jamal's heart pounds as he listens to the judge announce the details of their conviction. It is a bittersweet moment. While he is finally free, the cost of his freedom, the years of his life lost, the pain his family endured, can never truly be replaced. The courtroom erupts in applause, and for a moment, Jamal allows himself to feel the weight of his victory. The tears that had once been a symbol of his defeat now fall as a symbol of his triumph. But as Jamal steps outside the courthouse, greeted by the cheers of supporters and the flashing cameras, he knows that his fight isn't over. This victory, hard-earned and long overdue, is just one battle in a much larger war. The corruption that nearly destroyed him still exists. The system that failed him, and so many others, still stands. Jamal has proven that it's possible to fight back, but he understands that justice isn't something that's given to you. It's something you must continue to fight for. His exoneration is the spark that ignites a nationwide movement. People from all walks of life rally around Jamal's story, using it as a call to action for criminal justice reform. Celebrities, activists, and ordinary citizens alike stand united, demanding change. The spotlight shifts to racial bias, to wrongful convictions, and to the systemic failures that have destroyed the lives of countless innocent people. Jamal's story has become a symbol of hope, a rallying cry for anyone who has ever felt powerless against an unjust system. Jamal, once a victim of that system, is now a leader in the fight for change. His journey, though painful and filled with unimaginable obstacles, has opened a door for others to walk through. He understands now that his victory is not just his own. It is a victory for all those who have suffered in silence, for all those who have been wrongly accused, for everyone who has ever felt like their voice doesn't matter. Jamal's heart is filled with pride as he watches the movement grow, but also with a quiet, determined resolve. The fight isn't over. It's just beginning. And Jamal will continue to stand at the forefront, ready to battle for justice, not just for himself, but for everyone who needs a voice in a world where the system often fails to listen. What's the biggest lesson from Jamal's journey? Let's talk about it in the comments. The sun sets over Jackson, Mississippi, casting a golden glow across the streets. Jamal stands alone for a moment, his gaze fixed on the horizon, lost in thought. His battle has been long, painful, and filled with sacrifice, but now, standing in the aftermath of his victory, he feels a sense of peace, a quiet understanding that his journey, while hard-earned, has only just begun. His exoneration, the public downfall of the corrupt officials who nearly destroyed him, has become more than just a personal triumph. It has sparked something much bigger, a movement that echoes across the nation. Jamal's name has become synonymous with justice, but he knows the fight is far from over. This victory is not the end. It is the beginning of something far greater, a fight for fairness, for equality, for the many who have been wrongfully accused and silenced by a flawed system. Jamal's story has become a catalyst for change. His victory, once just a dream, is now a rallying cry for those who have been forgotten by the very system that is supposed to protect them. His name is spoken with reverence by those who understand the depths of the injustice he endured. But Jamal knows that this spotlight is not just for him. It is for everyone who has ever felt powerless, for everyone who has suffered from the biases and corruption that still pervade the criminal justice system. Now, Jamal is not just a man fighting for his own freedom. He is an activist, a voice for the voiceless, pushing tirelessly for criminal justice reform. He speaks out against racial bias, against the wrongful convictions that plague the system, and against the entrenched powers that protect those who wield it for their own gain. His words inspire others to stand up, to fight, to demand a system that truly serves the people. Every speech he gives, every interview, every conversation with a group of activists fuels the fire of a movement that is growing stronger by the day. Jamal is no longer just fighting for his own freedom. He is fighting for the freedom of every innocent person who has been wronged by the system, for the people whose stories never made it to the headlines, whose voices were never heard. But, as much as Jamal has accomplished, he knows the road ahead is still long. The fight for justice is never ending, and there is always more work to be done. The system that once betrayed him is still standing, and there are many more battles to be fought. Jamal is ready to continue, not just as a survivor, but as a leader in the charge for change. His personal journey may have ended, but his mission to ensure that no one else faces the same injustice is just beginning. Do you think Jamal's fight will lead to lasting change? Keep watching for more updates on this story and the ongoing fight for justice. Jamal's case is no longer just the story of one man's fight for justice. It has become a landmark moment in the ongoing battle against racial bias and injustice in the legal system. His victory reverberates across the country, igniting a wave of activism and advocacy that challenges the very foundation of the systems meant to protect and serve. What started as a personal mission to clear his name has blossomed into a movement, one that transcends his individual struggle and touches the lives of countless others. In the years following his exoneration, Jamal's story remains a beacon of hope for those who have been wronged, for those who have been denied justice, and for those whose voices have been ignored. His case stands as a stark reminder of the deep flaws that exist within the criminal justice system and a testament to the power of persistence, courage, and truth. Jamal's unwavering determination to expose corruption, no matter the cost, sparks a national conversation about the need for systemic reform. And while the battle is far from over, his case sets the stage for future reforms, ones that promise to make a lasting impact on how justice is served in America. Jamal's role in advocating for legal reform becomes a key part of his legacy. He becomes not just a symbol of resilience, but a catalyst for change, working tirelessly to dismantle the racial biases that continue to plague the system. His efforts inspire future generations to stand up for what is right, to demand fairness, and to never stop fighting for justice. Jamal's story teaches the world that one person, with the courage to speak the truth, can spark a movement capable of changing history. Through his journey, Jamal demonstrates that no matter how insurmountable the odds may seem, change is always possible. His courage in the face of overwhelming adversity proves that the fight for justice is never truly over, and that each person who takes up the mantle can make a difference. Jamal's victory is not just a personal triumph, but a collective victory for all those who have been denied their rightful place in the light of truth. This is just the beginning. Don't miss out on the next chapter of Jamal's journey. Stay tuned.